Welcome to another conversation with the Brothers of Two Complex. We appreciate y'all for clicking on this video. But before we get into the content, make sure you like the video, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the bangers that we drop every single week. We appreciate the support. Enjoy the video. We saw the Mavericks beat up on the Clippers, man. And in game 3, our boy Russell Westbrook went crazy. He was out there just being the aggressive Russell Westbrook that we all know, but on defense.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a different side of this when we were talking about it on Thursday, but I think I'm a little bit more leaning towards another side this time.
Okay.
As I did my research, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a couple of fouls and it was a couple of actions in that game that Russell Westbrook had that was like, okay, I understand a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Russell Westbrook had a hard foul on Luka Doncic towards the end of the game of game 3. And then he got into it with PJ Washington, got into it with the referee, just kind of going crazy. And Stephen A. Smith went on First Take that morning and said that he ended up calling NBA home office to figure out why Russell Westbrook was not suspended. Mm-hmm. Me, initially, I was like, bruh, like, come on, dog. I was on the side of all the smoke, you know what I'm saying? And because they went in on Stephen A. Smith. But as I'm doing my research, I kind of figured out exactly what he was doing. But my question is, D-Lo, with this whole situation is, should journalists have this kind of power to reach out to the NBA home office to influence things of this nature? Or how do you feel about Stephen A. Smith calling the NBA home office about Russell Westbrook getting suspended or not?
So I don't think they should have. They definitely should have enough power to call the league office to get information to make sure that they are reporting accurate information. But as far as influencing, probably not. And in Stephen A's instance, where he was being called a snitch and whatnot, I don't think that was warranted. I think he was just doing his job as a journalist to, as I mentioned, figure out the situation, see why Russell Westbrook was not suspended, because we all know had it been Draymond Green or somebody of that character, he definitely would have been suspended. And so I'm not usually in the business of defending Stephen A. Smith. He does a great job defending himself when he feels like he's being attacked. But I think he was just doing his job as a journalist and trying to find out and understand why the league made the decision to not suspend him for game 4 of the first round of the Western Conference Finals. Now, I think he did a terrible job in explaining his call to the league and made it seem like he called to get him suspended, but that wasn't the case. He actually was calling to see what the issue was and why the league decided not to suspend Russell Westbrook. And, you know, he said, I can't remember if he said it on his podcast. He was like, as a TV personality for ESPN, who pays the NBA billions of dollars, it is my job to call them to understand what made them come with can't talk on a Saturday morning. What made them come up with this decision to not suspend Russell Westbrook? That way the league can have their decision voiced accurately and not any speculation or outrage about it. And I think, you know, people just took it the wrong way and ran with it.
Yeah, I think he definitely did a horrible job of explaining exactly why he called them. Because initially, like I said, when we talked about this earlier in the week, I was like, bro, like, it's one of the things you just don't do as a reporter. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the way it came to me, the way I saw it was, Stephen A. Smith a snitch type, you know what I'm saying, type shit. But whenever I did the research, he said that, you know what I'm saying, he called, and I'm gonna read his direct quote actually. He said it was inexcusable behavior. That's what I saw. I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough, but to be quite honest with you, I was in the mindset that Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game, which would have been game 4. Do you hear that? Sam alarm going off. That's how appalling his game was. And then he said, I felt so serious about this, fellas. I called the league office and said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended. That's the part that got everybody up in arms.
Yeah, he did a terrible job explaining that. Which he typically does not do.
Yeah, that's the part that got everybody up in arms because whenever he said that, I need an explanation. Tell me why he wasn't suspended. Everybody was thinking, okay, damn, now he's going to be suspended for real. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody was thinking in their mind. But then he said he was told that he got a couple of technicals plus a flagrant, plus he was ejected, plus no one was injured. So that's where he stood down. It's like, okay, I understand. Mm-hmm. So, and then he said, but it's the playoffs because of how important it is. You can't do that. So after
that's what the league said, right?
Yeah, that's what the league said. So now that I got my information, now I'm okay. I understand why Stephen A. did what he did, but I was like, bro, that's just to be perfectly honest, bro, it's mind your business. If we get to the point of prayerfully, we get to the point of Stephen A. Smith, and we have the power to say we can call the NBA home office and something like that happens. Me personally, I'm minding my business. I'm minding my business. Because
when people come to you, again, if we get to that point, when people come to you or come to your platform at this time is First Take and then NBA Countdown, people come to your platform to get information about certain situations that they may not be privy to that you are, or that you can get the information directly from the horse's mouth. Why would you just mind your business in that? And you're a journalist. That's your job to report on stuff that's going on.
I'm going to report that he had a terrible game and was out there trying to bully folk, and he was ejected from the game and he was not suspended. That's what I'm gonna report, because if I feel like I feel like Stephen A. Smith has the power to overturn some shit. And if I feel like I have that power, I don't want to. I feel like he does. If he got the bat phone and can call up Adam Silver or the head official, the president of the officials of the NBA, that could possibly be like somebody throwing up a challenge flag in a game and having New York look at it and say, okay, yeah, we need to make this call, actually. But I just don't like having that impact. I don't like having that impact on somebody else's career or somebody else's outlook. Because if he would have actually got suspended for Game 4, that's Stephen A. Smith's fault. Now, an NBA player can't play in Game 4 of a playoff. I don't like having that power. I just don't like having that influence. You see what I'm saying? Like I would feel bad in the sense, and then now the rest of the world hating too complex because we done got Russell Westbrook suspended for a playoff game. Now they did come out and say that if it was the regular season, it might have been different. But since how important the playoffs is, you can't just make a call willy-nilly or overturn something willy-nilly because it's the playoffs. This people are playing for championships. This could possibly be the last game of their season for Westbrook, maybe career. Maybe not,
but yeah,
maybe not, but maybe. But he's been in the league for a while, and he ain't been playing well the last 2-3 years, possibly. But at the same time, it's like I just don't like having that power, bro. I wouldn't want to have that power to be able to influence something like that, and somebody else's career is in jeopardy. I wouldn't want to have that power.
Yeah, I would not call to if I was Stephen A. Smith, I would not call to say Russell Westbrook. I struggle to say Russell
Westbrook should be. You wouldn't say he should be fired. He should be suspended. But
I would not call to say he should be fined or suspended. But I definitely would call to get an understanding of what is going on. Why did y'all come up with this decision, and report it? Because again, it's my job. And yeah, it may cause a lot of controversy for me asking why they came up with this decision, but it's like I'm doing my job, and that's the thing for me. Like again, that's why I said I don't typically defend Stephen A. Smith because he does a great job doing it himself. But
he does.
When somebody's doing their job, they're not going above and beyond. Because I don't think this is going above and beyond a journalist. If Wojnarowski would have reported this, would we have said anything? No, we wouldn't have said anything. No,
we would have.
We wouldn't have.
Why? Because he's white.
Said it.
We just talked about this culturism, this colorism shit.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have said anything. I don't think anybody would have said anything if he said, "I called the league office to get an understanding of why they came out, why they didn't suspend Russell Westbrook from Game 4 of the first round of the finals, first round of the playoffs." I don't think anybody would have batted an eye, but because Stephen A. is black,
and who he is, and it's another black
and
man
who he is,
involved.
and you know, people want to protect.
I see where you're going with it.
That's the problem I have. It's like we too old for this, bro. Like we are too old and are more than likely far removed from the street life or have never been a part of the street life to be talking and calling somebody a snitch.
For sure.
And, like everybody that's involved with the start of this narrative about Stephen A. Smith are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. We're talking about it. We're in our 30s. Gilly, All the Smoke, they're in their 40s, maybe even 50s. Stephen A. Smith himself is 56-year-old. Why are we worried about him being a snitch? We're too old for that, man. You know what I mean? Like, I agree. Like they all have large sums of money to where they are removed from that and can potentially help the communities that they came from if they were involved in the street life to help change that dynamic. But because we want to keep some code of being a snitch that we were never a part of, far removed from it, we want to keep that code like to intimidate people from doing their job and holding us accountable. I don't agree with it, bro. I think it's something that we need to let go. We hold on to stuff that continues to hinder our community rather than help our community. And it was something that you said. We talked about this early in the week. It was something that you said on one of the segments where we were talking about the community, where you were like, I don't know the exact quote, but basically you were saying we enjoy our community enjoys the struggle, enjoys the pain.
Yeah, the thing about the thing that Agent Zero said in one of his videos that I watched. I know what you're talking about.
And at one point, at that point I didn't agree with it. I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. I as I've matured over the last couple months, last year or so, I feel like it may be true. Like we do hold on to like small things that keep our community from moving forward and progressing into the positions that we need to progress in, because we want to hold on to these small codes of the street at 30, 40, and 50. Bro, come on, man. Like, really? We would rather engage in that than to combat it, to help our communities to be safe, to have our kids to not be intimidated, to speak up when something is wrong. Again, not saying that they should actively go give information to police or stuff like that, but like, come on, if somebody asks, if you saw something and somebody comes to you and asks, hey, do you know anything about this? Yeah. Okay, tell. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that doesn't have a lot to do with Stephen A. Smith, but he was called a snitch. And I just don't agree with that. For him doing his job, he was just holding the NBA accountable, trying to figure out what is going on with this situation. And then he was labeled a snitch. I mean, I would feel some type of way too if I'm doing my job and didn't really get anybody criminally in trouble, and you call me a snitch. So, I mean, but
if you're doing your job though, how would you have worded that? Like, he worded it terrible. Stephen A. Smith worded it terrible on First Take. How would you have worded that?
Yeah, well, it's because he said, I called to see why Russell Westbrook.
He said he called and said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended. How would you have worded that differently?
When somebody says, I called and I need an explanation, what does that sound like? A Karen.
Right? For sure.
Telling everything, or going, I need to speak to your manager, right? He shouldn't have said I need an explanation. He should have said,
I called to get an understanding.
I called the NBA. Yeah, I called the NBA to understand why they came up with this decision or how they came to this decision of not suspending Russell Westbrook for Game 4, when Draymond Green in that same instance would have been suspended immediately, and we all know it. Something of a sort, right? He didn't say that on First Take or NBA Countdown, but he said it. He said it on his podcast. He said I think he said something of the sort. He mentioned Draymond Green, but when you say I called the NBA, I don't know why I can't talk today. I called the NBA and wanted an explanation or needed an explanation for why, that automatically raises our antennas. Is like, oh, he went and told. Nah, he didn't tell. He went and did his job to try to figure out so he can report on it.
Yeah. And that's the understanding I came to, because initially I was on the side of Gilly, all the smoke. I was like, yo, like why he out here trying to get, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not, you not home office, like you just a journalist, but he is a journalist. So he wants to give the accurate information to his audience, which I can understand. And that's what we want to do too. So I had to step back a little bit from the culture that holds us back. And I had to take a step back and say, you know what? He just doing what we try to do. And I understand why he did it. But it just didn't sound right. It just didn't sound right. Yeah. So but I understand it now. I get it now.
Yeah, we too old for this code of the street stuff, man. We ain't, what you said to me and my wife early in the week, once you 25, you old in today's day and age.
It is,
right?
Yeah, facts.
Kids call you old as dirt, you old as AF. Mm-hmm. Bro, we too old. We too old to be holding the code of the street, especially if we ain't living in the street or still doing all that stuff. Now, if you in that, if that's what your lifestyle is, yes, live by that code, because you gotta survive out there.
For sure.
Them people is removed from this. Like
far removed.
The one that's closest to it maybe is Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, maybe. Facts.
Even Gilly, now that he got that
podcast and he doing his
podcast and he got that money, I'm sure he's well removed from that. Now, yes, he lost his son recently, and so that's probably keeping him within the culture a little bit. But I mean, realistically, he ain't even a part of that anymore. So we gotta let it go and progress, like as adults.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. But sticking with Stephen A. Smith,